How's it hanging, everybody? Welcome back to Tag Team, the Pokemon trading card game's premier podcasting trio, reunited at last. My name is Riley Hulbert, joined as always by my good friends, Mr. Andrew Mahone and Mr. JW Kriewall. Folks, how's it hanging today?
Oh, it is hanging loose, Riley. I'm excited to be back. Very thankful to be back. It's been a couple of hectic weeks here in the Mahone household. Sometimes I feel like by the time I'm done work and childcare for the day, I am just barely hanging on to reality by a thread. And, so it's been a couple of weeks like that, just back to back. And when I'm feeling much more settled and relaxed tonight, and I feel like I'm in a good space with everything, and at peace with my workflow and life. Yeah, things are going smooth this week, so I'm thankful for that. How are you guys?
JW?
Oh, I'm doing well. Yeah, had a good weekend. Hung out here at the house. Got to see a nice little farmers market here in New Jersey. There are good, cool things in New Jersey. I just discovered one this weekend, so giving me hope. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just a lot of family time over the last week and catching up on some of the stream from Milwaukee. Pretty interesting weekend. Riley, obviously you were there.
Normally I'm the guy watching the stream. I actually really like watching the stream.
Stream. I mean, stream's pretty fun. Depends. I would say sometimes on the matches themselves and who
I just like
some
to follow
commentators
along,
I feel like are a lot
more
more exciting to listen to than others. But by and large, really fun to watch the streams as well. So.
Yeah, well, I did play in Milwaukee this weekend. I thought about flaking, but I realized this is like an hour away, so I might as well, I could always just drive home if I'm not feeling it. So I did go in the end. It was a good time. It was a good time. One thing I think that's really stuck with me is just how efficient these tournaments are run now in comparison to when I was new in the game. Those things would go regularly past 10 o'clock. And on the high end towards midnight. And that's not even a dream of a thought anymore. So that's really nice. Very well efficient run events. And it was a good time. It was a good time overall. It was really nice that it was close to home. I wish it was still in Madison. That would be even more awesome, especially because Madison's a wonderful, beautiful city. But Milwaukee's cool too. And I'm sure we'll talk more about how my tournament went as we get into the cast itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was one thing that we did want to, one topic that we wanted to dive into. But first, before we get into that, if you are listening on a podcasting platform, we do upload the podcast to YouTube every week. So if you want to get a little bit of visualization going, see Andrew and Riley's beautiful faces, and get a little bit more context on the topics that we're talking about, head on over to YouTube and subscribe over there. But with that out of the way, Andrew, you had a topic that you wanted to bring up about GG Gate?
Yes.
G3?
Yes. Well, here's the thing, is that I'm not really on social media too much anymore. So occasionally when I'm at the office, I'll open Twitter or something so that I can scroll a little bit, but I don't really look at it on my phone anymore. It's
good for you, man.
I feel pretty disconnected pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
But then I was talking to Natalie, and Natalie told me that the most recent hot button issue on X.com was whether or not it was appropriate to say good game to somebody after a game if it was not, in fact, a good game. Which actually, I something in me snapped hearing that there were people actually having this discussion, because on stream for years, a joke that I make is that I say it was GG's. No, it wasn't GG's. It was BG's. That was not GG's. That was bad. Right. That's a joke that I make on stream because it's not that serious. Right. But people are taking it that serious. thinking it's insulting that someone would say good game to you after a game that was not good, right? That concept, as someone who's like grown up playing sports and competing in things my entire life, seeing that kind of just general sportsmanship brought into question, kind of like fried something in my brain, and I'm still reeling and trying to recover from it. Mm-hmm. Because to me, saying good game is the same as saying good morning to somebody, or good, like the morning doesn't have to be good.
Sir. Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be good. Like yes, they're the country's a mess, the world's a mess, everything's a disaster, but it could still be good morning.
True.
All right, like
true.
like,
so let's
yeah.
at least
let's
lay out what the other folks are saying, because I'm on your side on this, Andrew. I think it's like ridiculous to even care, to be honest. But the logic that people are going down, because other people have made this argument, right? Like, well, when you're in sports, even if you get beat down, you still just shake their hands and say good game, and that's just like what you do.
It's the sportsman-like thing to do.
It's the sportsman-like. So the counter argument that's being laid out, which again, to be clear, I do not agree with, is that Pokemon has variance in it, like completely out of your control randomness. And so therefore some games just might not be good because you got screwed out so bad because you're so unlucky. That's the thesis of the argument. So how do you respond to that?
Lots of games have elements of chance in them. That doesn't make it so that sportsmanship is out of the picture, right? Just because you're playing a game that involves some randomization doesn't mean that all of a sudden you get to stop being a good sport. And it doesn't mean that just because something has randomization in it doesn't mean you get to lose without grace. Like, you still have to lose with grace, even if you're playing something that has randomization in it. And that's what saying good game is about. Even if it wasn't a good game, it's about losing with grace. It's about losing with dignity and losing with respect. And that is what it's about. And if you can't look your opponent in the eye and say good game after getting absolutely smashed, then you are a bad sport. Period.
JW, wow. How do you plea?
Wow. I mean, I say be truthful. If it wasn't a good game, I'm not going to say good game.
You got to lay it all out there. Yeah.
It was BG's.
It was BG's.
How dare you say
I'm still
that?
Going to look you in the eye. And I'm going to say, hey, man, you sacked.
That game was not good,
sacked,
dude.
Bro.
Seriously.
Honestly, the only way that game could have been good is if you had missed that thing that you needed on the last turn, and I had hit it. But that didn't happen.
It would have been a good game if I won.
Yep. That's right.
That's
why I always say good game when I win, because in fact it was a good game.
Because I won. Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say this, Andrew, because to me this is one of the great recurring arguments. Like I think this is like an annual tradition almost, where someone throws a fit about this and we all talk about it and then we move on and forget that ever happened, and then 1 to 2 years later we come back to it and we're like, hey, what about this good game stuff? And that's the cycle. That's the circle of life right there for me. To me, it's almost, I don't know about you, I almost don't even say actually good game. I just say like GG, which to me is even like further removed from it having any sort of meaning. It's just like, I don't know, a game just happened. GG. See ya. So like, I don't know. But to me, like, even caring is just absurd. I'm with you. Like, it's just be a good sport when you lose. You don't have to have
like, you can
the best
be tilted
game for yourself. Yeah.
You could be tilted when you lose. I get it. Like, we all tilt when we lose. I'm definitely guilty of tilting when I lose. But like, you don't get, because you're tilting doesn't mean you get to like tell your opponent how to be a good sport, right? Like, no. Because like, if they are just doing something as innocent as saying good game to you, and you are too tilted to accept that, then that's a you problem, not a them problem. Because saying good game to somebody after a game concludes is just what you do. It's not insulting. It's just being a good sport, right? So like, if you have tilted to a point where you're having trouble accepting your opponent being like just what is generally accepted as a good sport in all competitive activities that exist, right? That's just you finish the game, you say good game. You should be in a position where you are able to say that to your opponent even when you lose. That's losing with grace.
Yeah.
You should be able to say good game even when you lose. It's part of being a good sport. Is it a challenge? Yes. Have I fallen short of it? I'm sure I have. I've definitely been so tilted to where I might have had a hard time saying good game, where I got up for the table and I'm like, dang,
That was BG's.
Like, better to be lucky than good, I guess. Or something. I don't know that I've ever said that to an opponent. I don't know that I've ever said that to an. Okay.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
I have felt it.
Here's the thing.
I have
Here's the
felt
thing,
it,
right?
but I don't know that I've actually voiced it. But I've definitely felt it.
There's such a big difference between like being salty to the human being in front of you after the game and being salty like with your friends in confidence. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
There literally is.
Like, man, I got like, and I'm super guilty of this. I get super tilted when I lose, especially if I feel like I didn't deserve it. But I always, every single time, I say it was like, nice to meet my opponent, good game, good luck the rest of your, like that kind of stuff, because that's just being a normal functioning member of the human condition,
Yes. That's something that I always say. Like whenever I finish a game, it's for me is always like, I might say GG's, but I always say good luck in the rest of your rounds. Or sometimes if it was a bad game, I say, I hope you have better luck in the rest of your rounds. Like, So like,
what do you say? What do you say
like,
when you've given your opponent their third loss? What do you say?
Good luck in the
They
rest
can
of your
enjoy the
rounds.
city.
I don't assume they're dropping.
Enjoy the
Sometimes I
city.
say good luck. Sometimes I say good luck in the rest of your rounds. So long as the tournament's not over, right? Like I'll say better luck in the rest of your rounds. And then sometimes my opponent is so salty that they're like, "Oh no, I'm dropping." Like, and they want me to know.
I've been hit with that for sure.
Like, oh no, it ends here and I'm done. Like, that's always sick when you get
You were the
that,
last
too.
straw.
You were the last straw.
You broke me.
Dude.
That's crazy.
Oh, when I'm like on a dropper, like I'm always so sick when I'm dropping. I'm never dropping in good spirits. I hate dropping.
And
but
of course not, right? Like, it doesn't feel good to lose games. Like, it never does.
To be like $75 into these freaking regionals or whatever the heck it cost this year, and then to not have things go your way, and then like all the money on the hotel and then like the travel and the time you spend testing. I get it. I get why people are sick as hell. I get it. But you got to try and be the best sport you can be in that situation. And that means, look in your phone and say good game. And if you can't muster a good game, at least, don't say anything bad. At least just walk away.
That's probably the most tilting is when people like are aggro.
Yeah, like if you can't muster up a GG's, then just simply
Dude, we're playing children's card game.
Turn around and leave, bud.
Dude, there's no way you're up in my face right now about a children's card game. Like,
You guys remember the deck thrower? I'm not gonna.
thrower.
Yeah.
Oh
dude.
yeah, I do.
Oh.
I do.
There's
Should
like
have
one
been
notable.
should have been DQ'd.
There's one notable player in the history of the Pokemon TCG who's the deck thrower, and we're gonna leave it there.
It happened
We're not gonna
multiple
elaborate.
times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's leave the deck
Okay, we'll
thrower
have
to the
to talk
imagination of
after the
listener.
cast, I guess.
Let's
Jeez,
leave
man. Yeah,
Deck
that would be where I draw the line. That
Don't
seems
throw your
extreme,
deck, guys.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
get it.
that seems
People
a little
tilt.
extreme.
People tell.
They sure do. Speaking of tilting, Riley, why don't you tell us about your weekend in Milwaukee?
Honestly, my weekend in Milwaukee was fine. Like, I think it was actually pretty acceptable, given that I have not like played a game of Pokemon card in person since September of last year, which was wild when I actually like put the pen to paper and thought about it.
Yeah,
I played a handful of games online, but none in person. So I finished 7-3-2, just out of top 128 in Milwaukee. I actually almost bubbled into the top 128, but there weren't that many 23 pointers who made it in, so I don't feel any sort of way about bubbling. I played the Joltik box deck, which is for listeners last week. Maybe that's not a surprise because JW and I were talking about how like shockingly good, no pun intended, the Joltik deck was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wildly unprepared for this tournament as well. Like I didn't refresh my collection after rotation, so I was like missing a bunch of cards that I needed. Thankfully, friend of the cast, Jesse Parker, was like, "I got you, bro. I'll bring you a deck." And so he brings a handful of decks for me to pick from. We land on Joltik because the matchups were really there, and it just seemed like a good low to the ground archetype. So now I've got a lot more firsthand experience compared to last week when we were talking about the theory of Joltik.
Yeah.
And here's what that experience is telling me. Joltik is good in some way. It's very good at doing the thing that you want it to do. It'll use Jolting Charge on your first turn going second and power up 2 attackers or like an Iron Hands. And then from there, hopefully you draw some Crispins. Like that game flow is pretty consistent game over game. When you have a bad opening hand, it is pretty bad, but the deck is fairly well optimized to get that like turn 1 off. However, you don't really have much agency from there about like the way the game works and flows. And this has been my consistent problem with Arven based decks like this over the years is you don't have that like draw. You're not seeing a lot of cards. You're seeing like your prize cards, your Fez draw, and your Arven. Yep. And the Joltik deck, mind you, does not really play item cards. There's not like you're getting like nest balls off the Arven.
You're Arvening for the ball cards. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's it. And so what I found is just like, and if I were to like build a deck from scratch, I would consider changing the engine personally. I think the Crispins were really good. The Crispins held their weight. The Arvens, a little questionable for me. I think, honestly, like the Arven does very consistently get you the turn 1 because you can get like Rescue Board or Future Booster Capsule to retreat, so long as you don't start your heavy boys. But Latias does that too, right? So as long as you get 2 ball cards, you're guaranteed to get the Joltik, which like more draw power would probably get you that. So I think if I was to play that deck over again, I would play heavier draw, probably on the Iono side. That said, so the way my tournament went, I finished 5-1-2 in day 1. It was an 8-rounder. I hit like a decent slew of matchups. Like the only deck that I saw twice in day 1 was Raging Bolt, and I was 1-0-1 against it. My one loss blew my mind. In round 3, I got completely walloped by a Hop Zacian deck. And I guess that's a bad match. I have it up on Limitless Labs right now, and I guess that's actually a bad matchup. I just would have never guessed that going into the tournament. So yeah, I got like mollywopped in round 3 by Habzashi, and I'm like, okay, like I'm out of this tournament by round 5 max.
Yeah, well, it was interesting that player I believe played on stream later.
They went 5-0 to start their day, and then they didn't win too much after that, I don't think. But
yeah,
they started off really strong. It was very impressive. So yeah, that was cool. And my 2 ties were a tie to Raging Bolt, like I said, and I tied a Zoroark, which was kind of disappointing. Just I had a really rough game 1, and we weren't able to close. We were like at the very start of game 3, so I wasn't able to close it in time. Day 2 was a little rougher. I started off the day. So going in at 17 points, you actually do make top 8 if you win out. So there is a glimmer of hope. If I had went in at the 16 match points, the minimum, I would have been out of top 8 from the start. So that's kind of fun to feel like you have a shot. Unfortunately, I did lose immediately. No. I got like completely mollywopped by a Raging Bolt in like 15 minutes. So
real.
That was rough. I did win my next 2, and then I played a Raging Bolt in my last round. In my last round, I realized the ceiling for this round was top 64, which is no cash prizing. And the floor for this round, if I lose, is top 256, which also has no cash prizing. and then top 128 and top 64 are both guaranteed a booster box. So I'm like, okay, like maybe if I ID this round or I tie, like I can just guarantee myself a booster box and like walk away with a box of Journey Together, call it. Unfortunately, my last round opponent was both playing Raging Bolt, which is a tough matchup, and he was chasing after every point he could for Worlds. So he's like, yeah, man, like I'm cool with no gentlemen's or anything, but like let's just play out and see what happens. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't feel any sort of way about it. And I told him like multiple times, like it's not a big deal, like don't worry about it, because it came up during the match. And it was really close in the end. It came down actually to the very last turn of time, and it was very interesting actually, because as soon as I drew my card for turn was when time was called. And I was turn 0. And I think they might have called time like a handful of seconds late, because I was keeping an eye and I'm like, I'm pretty sure time is supposed to be,
It's
but
time.
whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever. So I drew my card. I'm turn 0. He's 1 and 3. I have 4 prizes left. I think I have 4 prizes left, and he has 4 as well, or something like that, or maybe 3. I don't remember the exact details, but what I do remember is I was going to be on pace to win on turn 2, on my second turn of time. And I was feeling actually good about that, because I had basically guaranteed game. I had the Gust in hand, and I had a really robust board setup where I had multiple attackers, and I wasn't reliant on Pikachu to be that attacker, so I wasn't discarding energy. So I felt really good, actually, that I was going to win that game. However, Tanner got me good. So on turn 1 of time, he is able to reduce his bench entirely to single prizers, and then bump the area 0 with the jamming tower, which not only turns off the bravery charm on my Ursaluna to make it perfect math for Slitherwing, but also makes it so I can't win at all, because I have to win on turn 2.
Oh my god.
So he clears me out of being able to win, and also is able to knock out my Ursaluna, which I didn't expect him to do with the Slitherwing, and put himself on pace to win. And yeah, he's able to like get that final Gust on the final turn. I would have been able to stall out for a tie, guaranteed, if I had Maractus access, but because we don't play any freaking draw cards in this deck, I didn't have any ball search access without playing Arven. But then if I play Arven, he just has the Slitherwing active still and KOs me for game. So because he was going down to 1 prize left. So it feeds into the fact that Arven is just the worst. And I've been saying this, especially with Badoo. Arven is like the worst card ever. I hate playing it. I hate
There's no
decks
Force
that like rely on
Sealstone. There's item lock. It's horrible.
Yeah. So like, yeah, man, Arven and his stupid sandwiches cost me half a booster box, because and you know, getting the half of the loose packs or whatever is just so much worse than getting the booster box.
Oh,
which is why I wanted to ID.
So bad, dude. You get half a booster box for 256 now.
That's
true. You get a full booster box at 128.
They did bump up the pricing. Yeah.
God.
So that's why the ID just felt like a good move to me.
Kids these days have no idea.
Dude, I know.
They have no idea, guys. They have no idea that we didn't get anything for winning regional championships back in the day.
Right. So
they have no idea, dude.
All that to say, Joltik box was whatever. It's a fine deck. Its win rate still is good on the whole in the regional, but I did not like how I felt like I had so little control over the way the games ran.
Yeah.
I made a handful of plays that I was happy about, but most of them is just like, yeah, this is like
but I think
only
it's
thing I can do this turn.
Well, I mean, for better or for worse, you know, as we were kind of guiding you through like the prep, which was like the night before, right? It's like, realistically, this is the deck that you could pick up and expect to day 2 with. And like you said, you
For
made it
someone
into the
who's, like,
second
not
phase.
played.
You made it into the
Yeah.
second phase. You made it into day 2 having only lost once. Now, we talk a lot about the importance of not tying, and that just wasn't the case for you. But you gave yourself a shot to cash or top 8. Like it was all there in that day 2. Obviously, your matchups were not the greatest. So I don't think. Just
Yeah,
kinda
I'm not feeling
back
any
at
sort
this
of way.
result, it's
I'm not
like,
feeling any sort of way.
Yeah.
It's obviously frustrating just to. I think mostly it's the 2 raging bolts in the 4 games in day 2. It was really frustrating, but especially in the moment. But it's like whatever. I'm over it. But I think I would have had more fun playing like a Flareon or a which wasn't on the table actually.
Dude.
But like I'm really into the idea of the EV deck.
I look so longingly at the Flareon Sylveon deck. I'm like, man, dude, like cut me loose with that bad boy right there.
I know. I was actually more into the idea of playing slow Dragapult, but Jesse talked me out of it because he said it wasn't in the best meta spot, which I don't know if that was true or not. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, my issue with the slow Dragapult is I do kind of feel like if you're picking up a deck going from, obviously you have experience, right? I said this in the Discord. I'm like, I think for you, Riley, like I would recommend pretty much anything to you, but it is difficult to pick up a deck like that right now in the current climate where you have a lot of players that have put a ton of time into this deck, and mirrors I would expect to be pretty difficult just without a lot of prep.
The mirror I think is where the prep really shines with decks like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I would be fine. I'd be fine taking the L in the Slowpoke mirror because I wasn't expecting to hit very many Slowpokes.
Well, and you only hit one Dragapult in total.
And they were a Dusknoir variant. Yeah.
Yes.
So Slowpoke would have been fine into that.
JW, but Riley's like really smart, bro. He would have figured it out.
Dude, I know.
I'm serious.
I know. That's what I said. Right? I feel like.
Well, it's interesting because I banned myself from playing
that
Gardevoir.
Rapid Strike deck, bro. Like he was a wizard with that Rapid Strike deck, man. Like
Dude.
none of us like that thing.
Here's my superpower. It actually is hitting a bad matchup on that final round of a tournament and losing that matchup to go completely like off the rails in terms of price.
Yes.
That's happened to me like every day too for the last
you are cursed
year,
in that way for sure.
year and a half.
Yes.
So and it's fine. Like it's whatever.
That's your curse. Yeah.
It is my curse. It is my curse.
Riley, it's like you and I kind of have that meme, right? It's like we're the machines at taking decent day 1 finishes and turning them into
horrible day 2s. Yeah. Well, that's not true. My Rapid Strike day 2s were actually really good until those final rounds. My Rapid Strike day 2s were so sick, and then I would lose like the last round and it would be like, okay, now you're not even top 32 anymore. Because that'd be the like perfect point threshold where like you're either top 16 or you're
like all or
you're
nothing.
38th, you know.
Yep. That is rough without a doubt. But let's take a step back and just talk generally about the tournament. I've got Limitless up here, and we can kind of take a look at what players were playing and what players did well. I do want to just highlight. I made a post on X, and it was a bit of a joke about
Bro, be like I made a post on X.
I know.
Yeah, bro said I X posted.
The point here is that
did you pay for premium too?
No, dude, I'm not Jesse. Okay, I'm not as bad as Jesse. All right. I know. Anyway, I was like, okay, you need to, if you want to have any shot of winning NAIC, you have to have been prepping since 7th grade. And looking at these results,
that's actually facts, though.
Well, right? I mean, it's kind of like blowing my mind. Like, and I'm noticing it more and more and more. Just how many aged up seniors are doing well in these tournaments.
They're super soldiers, dude.
It's crazy, man. It is like, it is wild the level of experience that you're seeing towards the upper end of the results these days. And I'm just looking at top 16, and there's probably half of top 16 played as a senior.
Dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
I started playing Pokemon in college. I was always cooked.
I know.
Yeah,
I
man.
know. Us old heads, man. It's just
I started
it's not
playing
the same. The game's
when
not
I
the same.
had like a fully formed frontal lobe already. Like I
I
was
know. That's the
22.
worst time to have started.
It's the worst time to start.
You
It's
need
like
your
trying to learn
brain
a
to still be
language.
forming connections.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Everything is like this though. I mean, like skateboarding
true.
is like this. Like anything
Yeah.
that requires this kind of it's just the kids. If you get the kids started when they're like, you know, as young as possible, they're gonna be light years ahead of an adult who starts the task when they're an adult.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Yep.
it's just learning a language,
Yes,
learning a sport,
gymnastics, all that's, you know.
I'm just surprised because what's interesting to me too is that the seniors that are here, like when they were seniors, a lot of these players, it wasn't really like, I don't think necessarily worth it to play other than just love of the game, right? Like it wasn't like significant prizing, right? So it's like, I always wonder like, man, what if, Ian Robb like got into chess instead? Like what if that happened? Like where's that timeline? Where Lucas Jing was like a all world figure skater or something like that. Maybe
But,
figure
like,
skating's not the greatest.
at least
analogy.
at like these mental games. I mean, I think Ian has demonstrated at least that he has the capacity to like extend that skill because he did really well at that Magic event too. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying? So
Yeah, that's true.
I think these youngins, not to be diminutive, like would have been legends at kind of whatever they went into, as long as it was like that same idea, right, of mentally and routing and outplaying and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, point aside. So
What I'll be really
let's take a
interested to see, sorry, I just want to, one final thought,
Yeah,
is
for sure.
can these same group of folks sustain that success like deeper into their postgraduate life? When they start having like jobs and families and stuff.
No,
Well, but that's the
dude.
thing.
It's
I think a lot of people
Pokemon
don't
like
have
a
families.
sport, dude.
Like,
Think of Pokemon like a sport, like anything else. Like the wear and tear on like your mind over the course of like of all that time, like the mental effort it takes to compete at something for that long is exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know because I've been competing at things since I was a kid as well. I mean, it wasn't Pokemon until I graduated, but like it was sports like all the way. And I am at about the point now where like at 36 years old, I've been competing my entire life. Like in something. I've been like travel soccer teams, high school soccer, high school track and field, high school cross country, college cross country, competing at a national level. Like I was always going to states in track and field in high school. I was always trying to qualify for the world championships, like until last year. Like I'm finally at a point now, I'm mentally burnt out, bro. Like I cannot summon that fire the way I used to. And I am comfortable with that now. But like that gets freaking exhausting. Being at that kind of like that intense about something for that long. I look at the kids now and I'm like, dude, that's freaking right. Like you guys got that fire. You're staying up till like 2 a.m. every night talking about these matchups, thinking this stuff through. Like I was there once. Ain't no way anymore. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that wishes I could have it all, that I could do
Oh, for
that
sure.
and sustain like a normal life. But so it goes. The clock
So-
ticks, bros.
the clock
the
ticks.
clock ticks,
man.
bro.
The clock ticks. That it does.
I guess
That
one
it
final thing
does.
before we zoom out, unrelated to the children. Just wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you to all the fans of the cast who came and said hi over the course of the weekend. You all were so lovely and pleasant. I had a really great conversation as well with Jeremiah Schmutz. I don't know if y'all remember him. He used to have a YouTube channel, Seagrove. He came up and we were talking for a long time. Super pleasant guy. So shout out Jeremiah, especially for the great conversation in the prize line,
Sweet.
which was very long. That's the one thing they don't run efficiently actually at these tournaments is the prize line. It took me like 40 minutes to get through it.
Yeah, probably the worst thing I think that you can say in terms of the streamlining of events.
So special shout out definitely to Jeremiah, because standing there for 40 minutes when my phone was at like 10% battery would have been killer.
You make a
It would've.
friend. You make a friend.
It would.
Anyway.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, the tournament.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what we saw, the results, because this is still a relevant format. We have a couple more regionals in this format before the new set is released just before NAIC. So this is what players are going to be looking at and dissecting and ingesting for their upcoming events. And I think the story of the weekend, both on a micro and a macro level, micro with Riley's 4 rounds against Raging Bolt, and macro,
which was
winning the
completely
entire
disproportionate.
event. Completely disproportionate, because Raging Bolt had been and we had kind of said, like, why is it the number 2 deck for multiple regionals in a row, kind of heading into this tournament? And then it finally fell to where I would say, and probably you both as well, say where it probably deserved to be, in that kind of, 7 to 10% range. And so, to hit 4 was just incredibly unlucky. But, Christian Labella winning the tournament with Raging Bolt, was that a surprise to you guys? Was that interesting at all, or was that kind of expected? Did you see this coming in any way?
It's kind of a surprise, and to be honest, here's the thing: the best deck doesn't win every single tournament, right? Otherwise, the Guardia list would keep winning every single tournament. And so, like, I'm not surprised insofar as, like, yeah, Raging Bolt is the kind of deck where you can run really hot and win a tournament. I actually kind of felt the opposite about the Joltik deck, where I didn't feel like a couple rounds in, I'm like, this is not a tournament winner. But Raging Bolt is a tournament winner because you can just blow your opponent's bricks off in any matchup. So that's why it doesn't surprise me, but I also stand by all my prior takes that Raging Bolt is, like, not the best deck in the room. It's not like the deck you need to fear or prepare for necessarily. Yeah. And I still think it's like, that 4th, 5th place deck in terms of standing.
Yeah. I mean, I think we would say probably from this tournament perspective, the Dragapults really rose to prominence. I mean, that had always been kind of the case, saying that was a top tier archetype, but getting second Makani Tran with the straight Dragapult, and then a handful of others in that top 16. So, that certainly was not necessarily a surprise to us. You also had a little sprinkling of Gardevoir here and there. Obviously, seems a little bit underrepresented based on what we had seen from the last couple of regionals, but still made its presence felt. And then, for me, the surprise, at least in terms of the consistency of placement, was the Zoroark deck. You had Lucas Jing making ASIM with the deck, and as well as Evan Pavelski making ASIM, I believe, with the deck. So, a couple things go a different way, and maybe you're seeing them in top 8, top 4, and potentially having a greater chance to win the tournament. So, interesting there, seeing 3 of the Zoroark deck in the top 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Why do you think that deck did so well this weekend? Why do you think players were, shifting toward it? Like, again, Lucas is someone I've played before, and someone who, I respect as a player. So to see one of the bigger names in the game shift to that deck, I think is quite interesting. So what are your takes on the Zoroark deck for Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to see it doing well. Again, I have a similar, kind of sentiment to you, seeing a player who I respect as much as Lucas pick up that deck says a lot about it to me. I don't know why I care so much about getting someone's, like, signature of approval for a deck, but it does. It matters to me. It just does. Like, seeing, like, okay, well, they would put an entire tournament run on this deck. That's how much they believe in it, right? And then not only that, but then also perform well with it. It certainly makes you want to give the deck a lot more pass-throughs than maybe you had given it previously. And it's crazy how much an influential player can shift the entire metagame with a finish like this. I mean, I'm thinking Ross Cawthon, with Roaring Moon last year, right? And it was like, one top 8 finish, a notable player, like one of the game's GOATs, Ross Cawthon, top 8's a deck with a deck that nobody respects, and then boom, all of a sudden it is now like a significant meta share, right? Mm-hmm. Like what was a deck that people hadn't figured out yet, Ross shows how to do it, and then boom, here it is. So like this could be that moment for End Zorark, which I think would be really neat. I think that specifically Lucas's list is really innovative. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff going on here that I wouldn't have expected. There's a Bombardier EX, guys, and 4 copies of Serrano. That is like very that is a very significant kind of like shift in the way that I would have thought the deck would be constructed. And I think a lot of players will be excited to give this variant a try. And I expect Zorark to have an increased meta share from here going on out. Why do I think the deck was favored? I think it's a combination of like people figuring out a list, figuring out how to play it, and then also it doing well in decks like Dragapult and Guardy.
You see, I feel like that experience is going to happen even more with Flareon and Ian Robb.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I was just about to bring up Flareon. I think that deck cooks, man. And I had felt that way for a while and then kind of dropped it, as the time had progressed. But that deck is so fun, and I think we're starting to see, even more refinement of lists.
I was a Flareon advocate even when we were commentating the Full Grip tournament. I was a Flareon advocate. I think that deck's super real.
It's cool.
It's super cool. Good. It also has a really good matchup into Zorark, actually.
Yeah, being able to hit 280, who would have guessed? That's good.
Yeah, the math be mathin' for sure in that matchup. So
Yep.
So I think the Flareon deck is going to go to the moon a little bit because Ian Robb is like as good of a stamp of approval as you could really ask for with a deck 100%. Like that. And his stream game against Zorark was just a complete thrashing as well. So that was really nice, like pitch for the deck. Flareon's super good for sure. And with the Briar, you can really put together some good plays against. Well,
that's.
Like
I mean, I think
deck.
that is the draw of the Flareon deck. That is the outside of maybe, you could argue Ceruledge, right? But it is the best Briar user in the current format. You maybe also could make an argument about Charizard, but Charizard really kind of fell out of favor in this format. So, decent. Decks with decent matchup spreads in this format, Flareon is certainly the best Briar abuser. And then you also throw in the Sylveon EX, has that little bit of kind of mix-up potential, being able to shuffle back in the draw engines of your opponent that they worked so hard to set up. Shuffle back in the Zorark, shuffle back in the Dracloaks, or even, the support Pokemon like a Gardevoir, right? Go shuffle in the Gardevoir and a Ralts. Like that is pretty devastating at the right time to a Gardevoir player. So I think there's a lot of dimensions to the Flareon deck. I think that's what makes it appealing to me, is that there's a lot of different things that could happen in a turn.
We're talking about think about the deck that you played, Riley, with the freaking Joltik deck, and then compare the amount of different decisions that you could make in a turn with the Joltik deck and the amount of different decisions you could make in a turn with, I'm looking at Ian Robb's list right here. Like, there are a million ways to win a game with this deck.
I know, man.
Taking a look. I mean, and
or lose a game.
Or lose. Yes. I mean, that's a double-edged sword. Yes, for sure. But looking at a deck like this, I mean, you just see all the potential. I mean, the plays with Briar, the plays you can make with Lily's Clefairy, hitting things for weakness. I mean, it's nuts. It seems like you got a lot of advantage against a lot of different types of decks. So I like it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Flareon stocks are going up, I think.
So do you think players will get more comfortable with these kind of fringe meta decks? Like we're thinking about Flareon, we're thinking about Zoroark. As the meta moves forward into these upcoming regionals, do we foresee like the shift away from things like Dragapult, Gardevoir, and higher meta percentages of things like Flareon, Zoroark, maybe even Joltik or Raging Bolt that have been kind of a bit lower, or certainly were lower here in Milwaukee in terms of representation?
Well, here's a fun fact: is Flareon and Zoroark both had 76 players in Milwaukee. They both had the exact same count, so that's kind of fun. To be honest, and don't slay me for saying this, JW, I feel like Goldengo is a little overrepresented right now in the meta, and a deck like
Goldengo
Flareon
sucks, dude.
could like easily take that spot.
Take that back.
It's so bad.
No, it's not
Goldengo
bad.
is
It
such a
has
horrible
weaknesses.
deck, bro.
No, it's not. No, that's not true.
Terrible.
No,
deck
bro,
is.
that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I know
horrible.
that you're just. Yeah, I know you're capping. I know you're capping.
Okay, well, Dragapultless Goldengo actually did look like it sucked pretty bad at this tournament. So, whatever that's worth.
Well, that's the Azul propaganda. He's been fighting really hard against the
Dude,
the Dunsparce.
It had 44% win rate with 115 players.
All I'm saying is that I didn't have a 44% win rate with that deck, so.
Dude.
So think
Jesse
about
and
that.
Kyle got slayed with their Goldengo deck.
Yeah, dude.
They got
This is like the
smited.
last
It
deck
was-
I would have brought to this event. Like, I would have taken a random Zoroark EX deck to this event over Goldengo.
No, you're lying.
Yes,
you're
dude.
lying.
No, Goldengo is so cheeks.
No, Goldengo's good, man. Goldengo's good.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no. It's not Cope. It can beat Dragapult. Trust. No, it can, dude. It can.
Let's look at the matchups.
That,
Let's look at
that
the
deck
matchups,
sucks
folks.
so
It can.
bad.
Okay,
It's hard.
so-
It's hard.
Against slow
The
Dragapult,
deck
yeah,
has
it's looking
no
pretty
good
rough.
matchups. The deck has no good matchups, bro. You don't sit
it's
across
fine,
from
it's
any
fine.
deck and you're like, oh yeah, I slay this.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like the ends deck, I think, or the
No,
Ends
because
deck.
they could go in with the Darm, bro. The Darm destroys you.
No, it only does
destroys
180,
you.
right?
Dude, the first attack on the Darm.
Oh, the
destroys
first. Oh yeah, you're right. The first attack on the Darm is
It's literally built to kill you.
That's true. It's fine. I'd play out of it.
Yeah, I would just play better.
I just hope that you. Okay. Well, as our group kind of turns the corner and looks upon NAIC. I don't know. You guys don't have any other regionals. Is there any other regional? between now
No,
and
we gotta
NAIC?
we gotta
Portland,
grind.
but we're not going.
We are
There's what?
grinding.
There's Portland still.
Oh yeah,
none
but
of
we're
us
not
are
going.
going to
All
that.
right. So it's grind time. That's what I'm saying. I'm ready to lock in, guys. Okay.
The grind starts
ready to-
now.
I'm ready to lock in. Yes, but what I'm saying is that there better not be any silly talk about Goldengo between now and NAIC because I'm not going to hear it because
Okay.
I want to test real decks.
Well, I'm that.
Well, you're
And
talking
I
about
wasted
Mewtwo.
last
You're
year's-
talking about Mewtwo, dude.
I wasted last year's NAIC on Goldengo.
Real decks
I
like
wasted-
Mewtwo.
I wasted-
yeah.
last year. I am not
wasted.
wasting-
No, dude,
No, it was
that
a pretty decent
that was
play.
a
We did
good-
good- we
That
did
was a
fine. We
good
did
call. That was a good
It was a good
call.
call. It was a good call, and it was
I
fine. And I was
slayed all
proud
the
of the
Guardies,
list that we
man.
came. I was
Yeah.
proud of the
And you
list we came
slayed
up with last
the
year.
ride out on street.
What I'm saying
that
is
was
that
sick.
I
That
am
was sick.
not running it back with Goldengo this year. I
Okay,
did not
all right,
take
all
a
right.
year off Pokemon to run it back with Goldengo.
To come back with the
again.
Goldengo. Okay. Well, that's
Well, okay.
priority
Well, how about
number
we all
one.
just right now we draw our own lines in the sand? Because mine is definitely Team Rockets. I'm drawing my line.
No.
Frick.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
Team Rockets
Rocket?
might be
Yes,
good.
What if
that deck definitely is cheeks? I'm sorry.
No, we have to try
What?
it though. We have to try it.
Yeah, you have to
can't
try
draw,
it.
You can't draw a line in the sand for a
With the
deck
we
you've never
haven't
even played.
Dude, we could try it, but I'm just saying the conclusion we're gonna reach is it's cheeks. So
No, I don't. Are you kidding? With all the support that you have, like you basically just get free setup on the first turn. It's like playing Miraidon. It's probably like playing Miraidon. You just get the free setup on turn 1.
No, dude.
And your Miraidon has 280 hit points.
That's so, and it hits for
really
280, bro.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm just really sad, Andrew, because for longtime listeners, they'll know you were the first defender of Goldango.
I literally was.
Back when it was released, I think, what, LAIC?
Yup.
And you were like, this deck is going to dominate. This deck is going to have, like, multiple top 8 placements.
I was on that train too.
That
Andrew and I both thought that Goldango was the best new card. And I think you said
sure.
it was Raging Bolt. And you're probably right at the time, but...
I think I might still be right.
Oh, so Goldango is cheeks then. It's even worse.
Well, I'm willing to concede that Goldango is not good moving
forward.
forward.
4K, folks.
I'm willing to say it's not good moving forward. Although with 280 HP basics, what's like the one Pokemon that can
stop
one shot that?
We're not doing Goldango. We're not, dude.
Well, now he's talking about Raging Bolt, I think.
No, yeah. Well, I guess I could be talking about
He is
both.
talking. He is talking.
No, they're kind of the
Goldango.
same. And they're kind of the same, dude, if you think about
Except
it.
one's a basic.
Good times.
It really gets you
times.
thinking. It really gets you thinking.
It does. So, anyway, speaking about cards, we do have some new card reveals that we want to get to before the episode is up. Before we shift gears there, any kind of final thoughts here on Milwaukee and those results?
Nah, man, cut the tape. We're good.
Okay. All right. We'll edit that out in post. All right. Let's move on to some new cards released from the
guy
Black
who's not
Bolt
about to edit that out in post.
and White. Yeah, that's the narrator. He did not edit that in post. Okay, Black Bolt and White Flare got some new cards, and for the old heads in the crowd, some reprints. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go there first. I was immediately when I saw these two cards, I texted Andrew. I'm like, bro, this is the perfect time to come back.
Turn on the TV, any channel. They just dropped this.
They just dropped Electric, and which is a 1-for-1 reprint, and the spiritual reprint for Embor. And these are kind of I don't know, what would you say? What would you say, like personality defining cards for you, Andrew?
Personality.
Actually though, JW has known me long enough to know how much these cards mean to me, and it means a lot that you remember JW, because yes, Electric was my first love, okay?
I know.
I started
I know,
Noble
it's when
Victories.
you remember
my
that,
very first event
that,
was Noble Victories. My very first League Cup win, and it wasn't a League Cup back then, it was City Championship. My very first City Championship win was with a Electric deck. I played Mewtwo EX. It was my very first.
when you
everybody, and
cheated against
JW, everybody remembers their. No, that was my first second place because I lost to Sean Foisey.
Oh,
JW.
okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So my first city so JW, I did play JW in top 8 of my first City Championship top cut ever, which I got second at. However,
and
no,
you cheated.
I was also playing Dynamotor. No wonder JW remembers, because he's salty because I beat him there.
It's literally the BG thing. It's literally
we didn't even know each other back then. JW was just random guy I encountered.
To be fair, I don't think I would have wanted to associate with cheaters. Yeah, I still don't.
I was so fresh. I was so new to playing the Pokemon trading card game that I think I may have forgot to offer a cut or something, or
and then you just so happened to draw into everything that you needed off of
you're nuts. You're nuts for that, JW. Obviously,
it's interesting. It's interesting.
I was very new and barely knew how to hold my cards, and you lost to me. So I was, yeah, dude. I barely. If you would have watched me shuffle and hold my deck, at that event, you would have no
baby,
wonder in your.
It was like a baby
You would
deer.
have no wonder in your mind that I was not cheating
shaking.
or anything, bro. I could barely hold my cards and play the game. Like I barely knew how to play. Like JW, he always leaves that out. I barely knew how to play. I had just started.
Oh, so that's an excuse.
Just started playing.
Okay.
I had just started playing.
So that makes it acceptable.
So JW played against me. JW played against me when I was brand new, and I still beat him in top 8 of this city championship with Dynamotor Electric, which is the deck that I went on to win my first city championship with. It was my first favorite deck ever. And then after Dynamotor, I spent 2 years playing Blastoise. About a year and a half playing Blastoise, and not Archie's Blastoise. That's like way later in history. No, this is like Blastoise Keldeo EX. But then Virizion Genesect.
Archie's Blastoise is that too.
Whatever. Then Virizion Genesect came out, and I got scared off the Blastoise wagon. So I went looking for his fire counterpart, which is Emboar. So I completely changed decks without changing decks at all, because now I was playing Emboar, and I became an Emboar main. And I actually
Emboar main.
I did. I
know
top
the
eighted.
lore is.
I top 8'd my first regional ever with Blastoise Black Huron. And then I went on and top 4'd my first regional ever with Raybor. So like the Emboar was like my favorite card ever, because like it was like my first trophy that I ever won at a regional championship was because of that Emboar. So like that, I was like hyped, to the moon and back on that deck and that card. And now, so to see like the very first trophy I ever won playing Pokemon was with Dynamotor Electric, and the very first regional trophy I ever won was with Emboar. And here they are, guys. And here they freaking are.
It's like the game, the siren song of
Come
competitive
back,
play
come
is
back.
just kind of pulling you in.
I know,
it's
dude.
saying we need
man.
you back. We've lost a piece of the soul of the game, Andrew. Come back, please. But yeah, I mean, clearly this was, intentional from the game designers, right? I think we can all agree, right, that they needed Andrew Mahone back in the game. They're desperately bleeding
nostalgia.
over in Japan.
They just like hitting that nostalgia bell, dude. They just ring, ring, ring.
Well, here's the real
Here's your
reason
nostalgia.
is that the kids who were like children when Black and White was a game now are adults with adult money. And so it's time to cash them in too. Like they've been cashing in us Gen 1ers.
Yes, the nostalgia bell is ringing for all of those kids who finally have jobs out of college. Yep.
God, we sound like such boomers.
Is that not?
We are.
Is that not what the game plan is here?
This is kind of the trope, right? This is like the old man get off my lawn trope that we're giving.
I'm not mad at the kids.
Let's just be
I'm not mad at
self-aware.
kids.
Let's just be self-aware. Let's lean into it a little bit more, I think.
Dude, the thing is though, I'm not mad at the kids. I'm just
kids.
saying this is Pokemon.
No.
It's the obvious business maneuver, right?
For sure.
You have to correlate when you release the merchandise to be offset however many years from when those kids are playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of years we'll get like a Gen 6 revival or whatever.
Yep. And so anyway, for those audio only listeners, I've had the cards up on the screen here, so YouTube people are rejoicing. But audio only listeners, Emboar, if you don't know what this card does, it's like a rain dance, but for fire. So Inferno Fandango is that ability. As often as you like during your turn, attach a fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Has a pretty forgettable attack.
Sick.
And then we have the electric, which is, like Flaffy, right, from last year, or like electric from a decade ago. But the Dynamotor ability attached.
You said a decade, dog?
More than that.
Well, a little bit more, right? What,
15 years
20...
ago, dude.
No, the last electric was last legal in like 2014, right? Because you could play it alongside Mewtwo.
Oh, I'm talking about printed date.
Oh, okay. I was talking about end legality date, right? Because it came out in 2012, right? 2012.
Printed date. It came out in like 2011.
Okay, we can fact check that.
There's noble
Somebody leave a comment
victories.
below.
Noble Victories, 2011. The end of 2011. It was 2011.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then the end legality date was like what, 2013, 2014? So a decade?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that fair? Is that fair?
No, it was not a decade ago, dog. That was 15 years ago.
Okay. You may attach a lightning energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So
Oh,
a lot of
15 years
synergies
ago,
over the years with these two cards, and really fun to have them back in the format.
So the
This-
open
Dynamotor
question,
being like Dynamotor having like kind of an almost unbroken legality streak for as long as it has in the last like handful of years is kind of nuts. And the fact that we got it in Evolving Sky, like we got literal Dynamotor at Evolving Skies, you know, and it was kind of bad for a while, and then it finally got good right there at the end, and then it rotated. And now we're gonna have Dynamotor back. Like, how funny is that? It's just like, cool. I guess Dynamotor's gonna be around for a while, for a little while longer. That's kind of sick, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure,
we
whatever.
we'll have, you know, again, a format where we have electric generator and Dynamotor available. So
That's
I mean,
crazy.
it just seems like a pretty natural pairing once again.
and it doesn't end there. JW, we got Air Balloon coming out too.
Air Balloon,
Air
quite
Balloon,
a good
a
card.
reprint.
Yes. So the
Well,
retreat
Really
cost,
good to print with the electric.
Yep, the retreat cost of this Pokemon is 2 less. So giving you a little bit more mobility without needing to play a liability like Eladius EX on the bench, which is currently our best switch option. And then we have some, I don't know, what would you call them? Like spiritual reprints of some of the legendaries. So there is the Kyurem, Zekrom, and Reshiram, as well as the Thunderous, Landorus, and what's that other one? Tornadus.
Tornadoes.
Some slight modifications to HP and damage, but by and large, successors to their prior forms back in Black and White.
Well, the Zekrom and the Reshiram are like kind of nuts.
Zekrom and Reshiram, they are different. They, these were cards that were printed.
They're-
The Zekrom,
yeah,
the
these are
characters,
EXs.
right? The characters were
Yeah.
printed back in Black and White, but now we get the EX version. So why don't you cover some of those? I have the Zekrom up on screen right now, so why don't you cover that one, Andrew?
Yeah, the Zekrom, I mean, because they're printing Dynamotor again, so you kind of, and they're printing Embor, right? So like that's no mistake, you know. Reshibor was a deck, back in the first Black and White block,
Yeah.
and Zekrom Electric was also a successful deck, right? So it's like now they're kind of giving you the Embor with the Reshiram, who's like, okay, this is like the pairing, right? And they're giving you Zekrom with Electric, and they're giving it to you. This is the pairing, and their attacks are pretty much the same, I think, in that they both have
They are the same, basically.
230 hit points. They both have a double colorless attack that does 50, cool, and their main attack I think does 130 damage plus 50 more for each prize card your opponent took.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
The only difference is actually, I think, a callback to the original Reshiram and Zekrom,
Yes.
where the Zekrom does damage to itself, and Reshiram discards an energy.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool too.
So what? So 5 times 5. I mean, yeah, you could do a lot of damage.
380.
Oh, if your opponent's
in
taking
fact.
5 prizes, yeah, 380. Yeah, 5.
Yeah, even
that's
at
250.
4 prizes, you're
Plus
KOing
130.
any like stage 2 that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a big deal. So yeah, at 4 prizes, that's 330. 330 at the end of the game, you basically are giving, you're like almost giving Dynamotor decks or electric decks, lightning decks, like a Charizard EX style attack.
Yes.
Where like
yeah,
at the end of
I
the
was
game,
just gonna say it's kind of filling that void that we that the electric decks lost with a Raichu, for instance.
Yes.
You just have this big burst attacker because by and large you're not hoping to use this in the early game. Doing the damage to yourself brings the HP from Zekrom down to 200, which is very manageable for even some of the worst decks in our current format. So big burst damage at the end of the game is a huge deal. You talk about the Reshiram being fairly similar, also a great attack to have for decks that can utilize it.
A couple other cool cards coming out. Of course, we got the successor to Charon in Charon. Draw 3 cards. That's pretty awesome. I'm actually really excited about Prism Energy coming back, though. So this card has not been printed in, 15 some years as well. And it's a special energy that provides a rainbow energy, but only if it's attached to a basic Pokemon. So pretty cool. Worst case scenario, it's a Monkey Dory activator, like we've seen Luminous Energy be. But I could easily see this. Back in the day, you'd have combos like Eels, and then you'd play stuff like Prism Energy, right? Where you could power up your one colored plus X number of colorless energy type of attacks. Prism Energy is really good for enabling those like box type of strategies. So that's really cool. We also have the Ignition
even with
Energy.
like Iron Hands, right? Like Iron Hands.
Yeah, Iron Hands is a great example of a card like that for Lightning.
Exactly.
And so those kinds of attacks that require a certain number of colorless and then one specific color, Prism Energy is really good synergy with those sorts of Pokemon. Ignition Energy is also really cool. So Prism Energy synergizes with basics. Ignition Energy synergizes with evolutions. And it provides 3 colorless energy to an evolution Pokemon. So Slacking EX enjoyers are rejoicing right now. You can fully power up that Slacking with 1 attachment.
It's crazy. This card has been renamed multiple times now in the game's history.
But it's not quite the same as.
It's not quite the same.
Boost energy.
There's triple acceleration.
And triple XL,
boost,
triple XL. Yeah. So
is this not the same?
It's not the same as triple XL because triple XL you couldn't attach it unless it was a evolution, I believe is the difference. And this one, it provides a colorless when attached to a Pokemon. So you could attach it to a basic. You just don't get the added effect of being 3 energy.
So basically, they patched it so that you could attach it to a basic.
Yeah,
now. That's like
probably for retreat purposes.
Well, you can also attach attacks. And then research and then evolve, stuff like that. Attach, support, or evolve. So that's actually a decent difference.
I think it's a good. I think it's a good change. Yeah, I think it's a good change for sure.
It's certainly. I mean, it's just crazy to me that they've renamed it from Boost to Triple Acceleration Energy to Ignition Energy. It makes me think that this is probably the name that's going to stick, I guess. But
yeah, it's probably the most reasonable.
The art is definitely igniting too, so that's pretty cool.
This is the coolest one by a lot.
It's
I
cool.
like the I like the rebrand. The rebrand is very successful, I would say. Triple Acceleration Energy is a horrible name for an energy card.
I mean, it's what's literally happening with that energy, though. How can you hate on it?
I think every energy should be exactly the effect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the name.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
There are also.
So
go ahead, Riley.
No, you get your thought.
No. I'm not carrying on this conversation. I'm adding a new. Ripple,
okay.
So
I'm kind of adding a ripple too. So we are seeing a lot of clear spiritual successors. We have all 3 of the dragons are spiritual successors to their prior counterparts. We have Embor as a spiritual successor. We have Electric as a literal direct reprint, which will be fun to see if people bring their old school ones along for the ride. Folks, there are lots more Pokemon from Black and White that have yet to receive a card that's revealed. And Pokemon has committed that every single one of those 150 some Pokemon are in fact going to get a card and an accompanying secret illustration rare. Do you have a wish list of a Pokemon?
Is that
you would
is
like
that
a
true?
spiritual
Is
reprint
that
for?
Wait, is
yes.
that real?
Every card is getting an art rare. Yes.
Yeah.
Not secret art rare. Every card's getting an art rare.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
So they're reprinting every Black and White not reprinting, but they're printing every Black and White Pokemon and also giving them an art rare.
Yes. It's like 151 but for Black and White.
Yeah, but when was that?
But instead of Master Balls, it's like everyone's getting an art rare.
When was that stated?
There's a PokeBeach post on it.
PokeBeach post. Fascinating. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to read that.
Yeah. This
You're
man
probably like on that
doesn't
post
know.
right now.
Yeah, unless it happened on Twitter, he does not know about it. This man is not reading, bro. Like Riley and I clearly both read the article. This
Reading?
man
What's that?
only scrolling X.
Wait,
Well, yeah.
actually,
If I have to read an article to get information, I mean, I'd rather just read.
can someone like actually though
100
clarify for
characters.
me what is the difference between an illustration rare and a special illustration rare?
Special one is the alt art, what you would think of as an alt art.
What?
Yeah,
What
so-
does that mean? Like they're both alt arts.
Okay, well, this was where I was going to lead. So since you asked that question, like the black, you're talking about like the black Reshiram, or sorry, the black Zekrom.
That's a special.
And the white. These
black
things are
Reshiram.
insane. These look so good.
Yeah,
dude.
they look beautiful, dude.
So there's the
Yes.
like these. I saw these cards and I'm like, dang, I might have to pick.
They look
these up.
gorgeous.
I might have to like
I know,
overspend
right?
to like buy these cards because like
They're
this
Well,
Reshiram
anyway, answer my
looks
question.
crazy.
Answer my question.
big teeny ones
Garbodor. Garbodor is what I want, Riley. Garbotoxin is on my wish list. Bring it back. Let us lock down abilities. Also print Tool Scrapper in the same set. Easy 1-2 punch. Garbodor, Garbotoxin, 140 hit points, stage 1 Pokemon with the Garbotoxin ability. It will have a retreat cost of 3.
So you can't.
And it will
airborne
have
it.
an unusable attack. Like it'll have a terrible attack.
But they
It'll
didn't print
probably
Garbodor
poison.
Spirit Link, and in fact, because Floatstone was a black and white card, but they explicitly went with the Sword and Shield card, so they're not going
did.
all the way in on the Garbotoxin. They're not.
No, they didn't go Garbodor Floatstone, but they went Garbodor Air Balloon though. So like they're
So you have to
nerfing Garbodor a
attach
little
to
bit.
it still.
Yes, they're nerfing Garbodor a little bit,
Yeah.
which is fine because people already complain that he's back, so he's got a little nerf.
A little nerf as a treat.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, what do you
JW?
think? What would you like, Riley? Curious.
I don't know. Garbodor is like an interesting one. I was also thinking like if they did Garbodor, would they ever do Trash Lance? Because Trash Lance is pretty iconic too.
Yeah.
Though it was not printed in the black and white era.
Right.
So that's one I actually think would be really interesting though. Though item cards are not as in vogue right now with the Madoo shenanigans going on.
No.
So they'd have to
One-
scale it up.
One card for me that comes to mind is, and I don't think it ever really got like. Just trying to think of decks that it was in. I feel like it never really lived up to the full potential, but that was Reuniclus. I would love to see a
I have
Reuniclus.
that card pulled up right now.
Reuniclus, reprint, potentially alongside something like, a Gothitelle, right? That would be pretty fun, I think. If we're talking about archetypes that could make a comeback, that would be one that would be top of the
More
list.
item
for me.
lock. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
What
One-sided.
about
one-sided
Excelgor,
item
folks?
lock.
Excelgor.
They just
Many people are
printed
saying.
they printed triple XL, dude. You know, it
That's
goes
what I'm
with
saying.
triple XL.
Shuffle it back in.
You shuffle it back in, baby. Shuffle it back in. You never have to discard it. Selgor. Oh yeah, Selgor is back in a big way. Why
I
would
hope
they do?
not.
Why would they
No,
even do
no,
that? That card was
no.
literally printed for a Selgor, dog.
No,
Yes.
don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I think that's the fact
Okay,
that they
what if-
included triple XL with the added thing that you could attach it to a Shelmet, dude, because you have to be able to like research to draw like Shelmet triple research draw my Selgor.
Dude.
Put it back in.
Dude, I like it. I like it. What about what about Archeops? Reprint the evolution
Oh,
blocking
no evolving?
Archeops.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
No? I don't know. That
Couldn't
could be
see
kind of
it.
fun too.
We just got out of Archeops hell, dude. We ain't going back. And what about Foul Play Zoroark though? Is there already a foul player in format right now? No, but there's Mimikyu is about to be
The Mimikyu,
for
yeah,
Terras.
is
For Terras,
Yeah.
explicit.
For
Yeah, only
Terras,
for Terras.
yeah.
So
Still though, so like they probably won't give us Foul Play Zoroark. I don't think that would be my guess.
okay. Empoleon. That was my first ever
he's
perfect
cool.
deck.
Bro, that is not a Gen 5 Pokemon, dude.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
know,
That
but it was
is-
printed in
that
black and
is
white.
Diamond and Pearl, bro. JW is just thinking about the old days.
It was printed in black and white, dude. In the black and white
But
it
block,
was
the
printed in
set
black
is
and
the set is the black and white
The set
Pokemon
is
though, not
only
the black and white
Pokemon,
era.
dog.
I don't imagine that.
Yeah, Trashland was printed in Sun and Moon. That is
Okay,
it.
well,
Yeah,
Black and
man,
white
that was like
Pokemon.
years later.
I just outed myself as not a real fan.
I know.
I'm trying to just like look at the list. Chandelure would be cool.
Chandelure would be cool for sure. But like you think of an ability like the thing is that there's certain cards they've kind of power crept out of.
But they can
like
creep
almost-
they can power up the card.
And keep in mind some of these are going to be EXs. So like they could do Chandelure EX, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
like think about how beast mode a Chandelure EX could be.
And
as
Chandelure's
opposed
just an
to-
awesome Pokemon. I love Chandelure. It's
I
one of my
do
favorite
love
Pokemon.
Chandelure, but I'm thinking like, okay, so like Chandelure was in the active, it plays 3 damage counters on your opponent's board. Now they have cards like the freaking Iron Valiant.
Valiant.
Yeah, which is like now it's like the whole concept of Chandelure's entire thesis is out the window.
They can make it do 5. They can make it do 6.
It would have to be literally like 8.
6 would be pretty good.
6 would be pretty good. Yeah, 6 would be kind of
Yeah, but it'd have to have like, 380 HP or something. Like it'd have
No,
to
it
just
wouldn't.
be an obscene amount of HP on a stage 2.
Well,
Sure.
because think
to
about like
just-
what Dragapult DX can do.
It's a supporter.
Dragapult DX places 6, So it's like, it's hard. I'm saying, Pokemon's got a lot of spread stuff out there right now. It's tough being a
Dude,
spread
I'm
guy.
telling you, people are gonna play like a 1/1 Chandelure in the Dragapult, dude. Now you're spending 12.
Okay, all right. Now you're cooking. Yeah. Okay, that's actually gas. Yeah, with the air balloon on the Chandelure to give free.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we're cooking. We're cooking.
That's so funny.
JW, do you have any actual Gen 5 Pokemon?
Well, there's Kyurem. I mean, we're getting a Kyurem EX, but there was the Blizzard Kyurem. That was a favorite, right? I'm thinking about that deck. Many players played this. I don't think it was very good, but they called it Cake, where it was.
Dude, that deck is the best 2011 deck. You're tripping.
No, that deck is actually horrific.
I would literally 1v1 you any deck.
Okay,
from that format
I will money match. I will
with
money match
Cobalion,
you.
I will money match you.
I will
Yes.
money match you. Well,
Cobalion, Kyurem, Electrode is BDIF that format, bro.
it is probably it is a solid tier 2.
Okay, well here's
that
the
I
Andrew
could-
used to be way against Cake too, and he awokened.
Okay, well I will concede
years
that
ago.
there may
I
be
did.
like if you use a different list that wasn't played at Cities, I think there is a way to beat the Chandelure Vileplume deck. But if you're playing the standard list,
You literally you
No, you
smite
don't.
that
You-
Chandelure
no, you
Vileplume
can't.
deck.
No,
Yes, you do.
you-
I
no,
literally,
that-
I will
no,
money
no,
match you, bro.
no.
I will money match you,
okay,
bro.
all right, we'll bring the decks to
All right.
New Orleans,
And
and
NIC, yes.
we'll do a best of 27 to decide who
Holy
is the winner.
smokes, dude! I got bedtime.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't. You don't
27.
really care that much then.
Best of 27.
It's only 14
Bro, I said
wins.
best of 27.
Okay, if you think it's so good for your deck, then that
It should only be
easy.
14 games.
Yeah.
All right, we'll find time for this surely.
So, all right. Well, any other
Long
kind of-
distance hypnosis mana. That's my final answer.
True,
Long distance
true,
hypnosis.
true.
It's a good one. That's a good one. It's a good one. Classic.
So very good. Well, this is certainly as more and more cards get revealed, more and more nostalgia will creep out of those here on the podcast. But we thank you guys all so much for listening. If you want to get more plugged into what we do, you can find us over on X at Real John Walter for myself, at Smiles with Riles for Riley, and at Enjoy Friend for Andrew, as well as the podcast at Tag Team Pokemon.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.